All right, there we are. Hello, everyone, and we are live. Welcome to the new episode of Pastrami Nation podcast. I'm Kevin, and joining me today, co-founder of Pastrami Nation himself, Mr. Jason Smith. How you doing today, sir?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good, man. I'm excited to be here. Very, very excited. Sitting right next to me here, my son
Hey.
Elijah. He hadn't seen him for a while. He's been in hiding. He's been doing his little teenage emo thing. He's hiding in his room. But I'm happy to see your face. I'm glad to see your face, especially when it has something you actually want to talk about. So that's good, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good. And
something I know something about.
something you know something about. Yes, so we love that. And of course, what Pastrami Nation, it wouldn't be complete. Pastrami Nation podcast would not be complete without the godfather of toys himself, Mr. Christian Nicorda. How you doing today, sir?
I am happy to see all of your faces today.
Definitely.
I know it's been a while since we've actually done one of these.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah, man. It's been a while. It is great to be back, and of course today, guys, we're going to be talking about The Last of Us. We're going to be talking about just kind of how it's going so far, see what we think, our thoughts. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the game. I'm still trudging along on the game, but I'm almost there. I'm like so close. I have like about an hour left, and I'm just like thrilled to finish it. Like I can't wait to finish it so I can jump into part 2. It's gonna be a little difficult because my wife pre-ordered Hogwarts Legacy, so that game comes out February. She gets it on February 7th for the PS5. So there's gonna be that battle, for the PS5.
Don't forget me too.
And this kid right here, he's playing
Just Cause 4 and a couple other games.
yeah, on the PlayStation 5.
Time to buy another PS5.
Dude, we need another PS5. We need one really, really bad. We're also going to be talking about some DC news. DC, my buddy, my friend, James Gunn, has been just mixing things up over there, man. He's keeping us nerd podcasters busy, which is great. He's giving us a lot of material to work with, and we're going to throw it back out into the universe, into the ether. Remember, if you're watching this, feel free to stop by, say hi, see how, we love to hear from you, leave a comment. And we always love chatting with you guys. So definitely make sure to do that. So let's just hop right into The Last of Us. Jeremiah, how you doing, man? Happy to see you.
How's it going, Jeremiah?
Thank you for showing up. So let's talk about The Last of Us a little bit. So let's go around. So Jason, you haven't watched the most recent one.
No. I only saw the first 2 so far.
Okay. What do you think so far? What are your thoughts
I love it.
on the show?
I absolutely love it. Like just from the first episode, it's just like, whoa. And it was a tearjerker, that first one. It's like, damn, but and then you start I got a little bored at the part where they met those fireflies when it jumped to the future. The part of it, I don't know, it was too much talk that first episode. I'm like,
Gotcha.
Okay. Then finally they get the girl and they're on their way. And it left off with that song. Remember the 80s song, Means There's Trouble. And second episode was just like, wow, and totally I was watching that one with my mom. Totally grossed her out. Those fungus, the mushroom people, like they are gross as shit. They're 10 times grosser looking than any zombie you can come up with.
Yeah,
like that part where you got the lady and like the little little tentacles came out of its mouth.
Yeah.
Like, nope, not doing this anymore.
That's awesome. And yeah, it's such a great show up to that point. But all three of us, besides Jason, have watched all 3 of the episodes so far. So I personally, I think it's fantastic. I think it's the best. I mean, listen, it could be recency bias and it's only been 3 episodes, but I honestly can say with all confidence that I think it's the best like video game adaptation put to screen so far. TV, whatever medium it is.
Definitely better than Uncharted.
Definitely better than Uncharted.
I love that movie. Just
Yeah.
So do I.
No,
So do I.
I'm joking.
I like the game.
But
No, I mean, it was a fun movie, but I think I don't know. We've had this conversation numerous times about what makes a video game adaptation work, right? And it's really hard to pin down exactly what works, but whatever's working in The Last of Us is working. And
it's HBO.
Well, it is HBO. Yes, they have that HBO money, and they're able to, and they have the really great storytellers. So you have, you look at shows like, obviously I did not watch Game of Thrones, but I know it was a huge hit. Obviously people loved it. HBO just knows how to get them. They know how to run their shows. They know the right people to get. They know what to get and things like that. Anyways, I'm kind of getting a little bit off topic. The first 3 episodes of The Last of Us have been incredible. Episode 3 specifically is probably one of my favorite episodes of television ever. And so, Jason, you had brought up earlier about how you were a little bored during the first one when there's just a lot of talking.
When they got to the future, yeah.
Yeah. This one's all talking.
Really? But is it important talking?
It's important to a specific story. It kind of makes you understand the world a little bit and what other people were struggling with during this time. So I wouldn't say particularly it's super important to the story itself, but I think it's super important to the world that they're building and the story that they're telling, so to speak, in the whole scheme of things. But as far as
you'll see more than life in the concentration camp, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. So you said you don't mind if we spoil it.
No,
so
I'm going to check it out anyway.
So in the video game, there are 2 characters. There's one character, Bill specifically, who at one point in the game, you go to him to get a car engine. And he helps you along the quest to get the car engine. And you're kind of hearing these bits and pieces about his partner, who is Frank. They had this, you don't really know what kind of happened between them and what they were to each other. But at the end of that scene, you find out that Frank, is deceased. Frank has killed himself. And there's hints throughout the story that they were lovers together and they built a relationship together.
I mean, you do find the letter after you see the body. I don't know if you found that. Yeah.
Yes,
Frank's letter.
you find the letter
to Bill,
and then there's that really funny comment with Ellie in the magazine. They're in the car.
Yeah.
She's like, why are the pages stuck together? I thought that was
how do you guys walk around with these things?
But it's the whole episode is focusing on their relationship, how they met, and just kind of finding love and something else in this time of complete chaos and destruction and disaster. The drama in it is beautiful. I love someone on Twitter compared it to, they're like, okay, let's take the first 10 minutes of Up and expand it to a whole hour. Yeah. And that's exactly what you get. You get this beautiful love story. It is a beautiful gay love story.
Does it go to sadness like Up?
What's that?
Does it go to the sadness like the
times 100?
Yes.
Oh man.
Yes. It hits. It hits. It's a super, super dramatic. Nick Offerman, who you guys may know as Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec.
That is him. I thought that was him. I saw him in the preview.
He's Bill, and he is just something else in this episode. Like if he's not nominated for an Emmy next year, I am going to be upset because this guy, it's weird because it takes roles like this to really understand how good of an actor he is. I know him as Ron Swanson and a couple other things.
I know him as Randy from the George Lopez show.
Oh yeah.
Remember?
Oh
he was
yeah,
dating George's mom.
That's right. I totally forgot about that. That's funny.
He's such
Anthony
a good
Blanco,
actor.
what's up, man? Oh yeah. So that dude is just such a powerhouse, so great. And this episode specifically, he's just amazing. They do deviate from the game quite a bit, right? So you they had a relationship. I heard he hasn't even played the video game since the 90s. Well, yeah, who knows? But they have this beautiful relationship. In this version of the story, I'm not going to tell you what happens at the end. I don't want to spoil that part, but it does kind of, I think it adds another layer to Joel and Ellie's journey, one they weren't really expecting. And it's really kind of the first time too, where you see Joel kind of try to shield her away from the bad stuff. Like he doesn't want her to see certain things. And you kind of see that first, spark of, this is fatherhood, and he's trying to recover from the loss of his girl, obviously Sarah. So I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was great. Christian, I know we have been talking about it. You were in tears. It wrecked me. It was.
I feel like I was in tears for like half the episode. Like from the moment they're sitting at the piano I'm like just now talking about it. Like Nick Offerman's portrayal of like vulnerability, like a man who's just kind of closed himself off for so long, and then finally like kind of opening himself up to like possibly like having this experience was really beautiful. But I think there was, is that me or sorry.
I think
So
that was
then
me. I turned it off.
okay.
Sorry,
So
guys.
I think there was also like a lot of other stuff too. I mean, I want to talk about the Frank and Bill stuff, but like even at the beginning, there's a part where Ellie kind of says to Joel, like you think she's gonna kind of apologize for something, and then she was like, "Dude, that's not my fault, and you can't get mad at me for
Yeah,
this."
fantastic.
And which is kind of a little bit. There's a couple of changes with Ellie from the game. That being one of them, which I really like because she's right. You know what I mean? Like, I think at this point, especially after the way the last episode ended, Joel's just looking for somebody to blame. And Ellie's like, I'm not the one, man. Like, this was your bag, And you see Pedro like, shit, you're right.
Yeah, he's like, you're right.
And he completely softens after that. Now he's kind of a little bit more open to her. He tosses her the sandwich. There's also this scene where they go to like his little spot where he's like hiding stuff. And then she has the interaction with that buried clicker. And that is that's a little bit like Ellie's a little bit darker here in the show than she is in the game. You know what I mean? There's I think been a couple of things in the like at the end of the first episode, the way she reacted to Joel beating up that guard. And like in contrast to the way Sarah reacted to the beginning, and then now like the way she was with that clicker, like and it kind of makes sense for a kid to grow up with all of this. Like she would kind of have to be like this battle hardened, like harsh person, but obviously it's Frank and Bill for the win, man. Like this whole episode was just beautifully done. Also, shout out to Murray Bartlett.
I was just about to say,
God damn. If you guys are familiar with White Lotus, he's Armand from season 1 of White Lotus.
I haven't watched that yet.
Also stole that show. He was my favorite character in the first season. And when I found out, because I saw the trailers and I never realized that he was Frank. And then when I like was told that that's going to be Frank, I was like, oh, we're in good hands because this is perfect. He was such a beautiful contrast to Bill.
He was.
Yeah. If you played the game, it's still if you play the game, it's 10 out of 10. If you haven't played the game, absolutely, Anthony, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I played it back in 2013. I just finished replaying it again this morning. I'm replaying it again. I can't wait to play the second one. No spoilers, everybody, because like not everybody has.
Yeah, I haven't played the second one yet. I'm still
going to try and play the first one eventually.
Yeah. So just real quick, what do you think about the show? I know you're on board. You've been watching it with me.
It's really good. From what I've seen of the game and the show, it's straying a little bit off, but it's still sticking pretty much to the base.
Yeah, like I do feel like I feel like it has to stray a little bit off, right? Like I mean, this whole the Frank and Bill thing specifically, I felt like was so well done that it's the only way you could have done it in live action. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like,
Neil, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Yeah, because I listened to the podcast and like all of the other things too, and like they were sitting there with the Neil and the director. There was a couple of things that they talk about that I thought was worth talking about here. But he mentioned, like because this is the biggest departure from the game so far.
Yes.
And from like the trailers of like the next episode, it looks like we're gonna pick right back up, like almost verbatim. But like he was talking about like this is one of his big fears is like if we're gonna depart, it has to enhance everything. I don't want to depart like and not. You know what I mean? And I think what this does is paint a bigger picture. I've heard complaints. Some people said this was a filler episode, and I'm like, bro, get the fuck out of here. You don't deserve this shit.
Yeah.
Because it's not a filler. Like
it's not.
If anything, it like you were saying, Kevin, it paints a broader picture of like what's happening. I think it also like really kind of nails the idea into God, I was gonna say Pedro, into Joel, like how important like his mission is. You know what I mean? And I think knowing where the story goes, it's really going to kind of paint like how he feels about like to almost I don't want to spoil it, but like I think there like that letter alone, right? Like the letter that Bill leaves is like it's so beautifully done. His really only game mechanic in the game was to get him the engine,
yeah,
right?
That's
or
all
to get him the
and to help him push the truck.
Battery, right?
Right, yeah, to get the battery. But when after that, like but I think they were actually be able to do so much more. Also, we get a better idea of Joel and Tess's life together because of this, they're at least 13, 14 years together, right? We don't know how much more time they were, you know what I mean? So that just makes it so much more tragic. I like also there's just a moment where Joel is kind of like present, and like allowing himself to have feelings. Like he reads the letter, he goes outside, and then I think it looks like he's thinking about Tess a little bit, which in the game he very much is like trying to like just suppress all of his feelings. Like we don't talk about Tess. It's rule number 1. Like don't bring her name up. It's like I think with that kind of world, you just like anything, you can lose anything at a drop of a dime, and like. You can't. In his mind, he probably just doesn't want to let himself feel that. But I like that we're getting a little bit of that here. So I love what they're doing. I love the game, but I also love the show. I think it's like fantastic what they're doing.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it also just adds to that, like finding that human connection in a world that's just complete. Just it kind of reminds me of Wall-E in a way, right? Like Wall-E's this lone survivor, and he finds this connection with this other. Person, or obviously this other robot in that case, but kind of has that same kind of vibe where it's all just Pixar. It's all Pixar, all the most like depressing stuff of Pixar. Put it in this episode of The Last of Us, and that's what it is. Like it's just a big thing. And Eli had made a joke yesterday about how it was a good filler episode. He was joking though, but even I was like, no,
filler episode.
It is so not. I agree with you, Kevin. One of the greatest episodes, the greatest single episodes of television probably ever. It's ranked. Like I would put that episode 6 of Sandman, episode 8 of Andor. I mean, I think it's also like HBO, Kevin, you mentioned earlier, like they've got the money, but I think Amazon has proved to us that just money alone doesn't do anything.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
and it
brings the power. But,
yeah. And like, I feel like HBO's kind of been, especially, they have the Warner Brothers ties and everything. So they've been in the industry for decades, right? Like, I mean, it's Amazon, kind of this newer studio, not new, but like newer, right? Compared to the rest. And they're still trying to figure their things out, much like Netflix.
Yeah.
And also HBO has a lot more like adaptation, like good adaptations of like books and other types.
Yeah, they do. Like, they've obviously had experience with like Westworld and Game of Thrones and like all these other things that were adapted from stuff. They've also had a good history of television programs on, you have things like True Blood, you have 6 Feet Under, all these Sopranos,
The Wire,
like it's The Wire, like The Wire's insane. Oz, I don't know if you guys remember Oz, but I thought Oz was fantastic. So yeah, man, I think we're on track for one of the if it stays on this trajectory, it's easily going to go down in history as one of the greatest video game adaptations of all time.
I said this last year, but we're living in Pedro Pascal's world, man. Like, Mando's starting up in a couple of weeks. Like,
I was actually going to bring up Pedro Pascal. We need to protect him at all costs. Man is a national treasure. Like Daddy truly, his interviews. We were talking about this at the dinner table today. Just his interviews.
Yeah,
like he just looks like he's genuinely like the guy that's just there having fun. Like he loves his life, he loves his job, and he's so grateful, and he's just the most amazing person. And we said like he's unbearable weight of massive talent, like his character in that, like he's that character, right? Like he's just this super fan, super nerdy guy, just like he just wants to live his life and have fun, and that's what he's doing. You look at behind the scenes photos of anything he does, and he's always goofing off. Like
his back hurts. He's been carrying the whole Star Wars universe,
100%. Vote for Pedro. Yes, I'm going to get those remade and repurposed for Pedro Pascal. We need to do that. Pedro Pascal is amazing, and it is kind of funny how his Mandalorian character and Joel kind of have a very similar
escort the baby.
Escort the baby, and that's exactly what it is. But
I think overall, like that episode was so important in so many ways because it's kind of a microcosm of the whole show. It's of the whole story. It's a story about love, really. You know what I mean? And like we kind of got that in like this enclosed story. It's also like a happy story. As sad and as much as I cried, it's probably like the happiest story we're ever gonna get out of The Last of Us. And it's also just so important for representation. Like they talked about like making sure like the casting was perfect, and they were talking about how when they casted Murray, they were looking for a middle-aged gay man, and the important thing was that he was middle-aged. But he was middle-aged. He's been married for a long time. You know what I mean? And like the director who was also gay and
Mhm.
also middle-aged, and they were saying that it's almost equally, if not more important, that they're middle-aged because we need
Yeah.
to see like a long-term relationship, you know, and
Mhm.
like how it's not always beautiful, but you know what I mean? Like it takes a lot of work too. So
Yeah.
it was just
100%.
such a beautiful, like, God. I almost like don't want to watch it again for a long time because I just want to keep it like if I watch it too much, I'll sour it. So
Yeah.
I know,
No,
but it's so
easily
gorgeous.
100%.
I got to watch
Um,
it before Sunday. That's for sure.
Yeah, you do,
Yeah.
man. It's a great episode, phenomenal television, and yeah, can't wait to see where the show's gonna. I mean, obviously, I've played the game, so I kind of know where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
But it's really fun too. Actually, I realize it's really fun. Like after playing the game, like seeing all these scenes play out that you played in the game, and just slightly different, you know, altered. And there was even that scene with Joel when they're in this episode where Joel's kind of in the convenience store and he has a little box and it has like the health kit and stuff like that in there. I thought that was a really cool touch. And yeah, and I thought, listen, speaking of representation, this is a weird way of representation, but that Ellie found her feminine products, which
Oh,
they
yeah.
never really show in these kind of
Ever.
things. You're always
Yeah.
kind of like, you know, they tend to shy away from that and stuff, but she like grabbed them because she needs them. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just a normal part of life. And I thought that was actually a really, really cool little detail. And they don't even make it a big deal. You just see her grabbing it, putting it in her bag, and she's like, yes, and puts it in her bag. Like, I thought that was really cool. It might take my number one spot from True Detective season 1. That is some very high praise.
Another HBO.
That's old.
Yeah,
That's
again
old
on
school.
HBO.
A couple of years back, yeah.
It's HBO. They know what
Also,
they're doing.
this won't be the last time we talk about True Detective today. Just saying.
Oh, it will not. It will not.
It's
because,
true.
because something we're going to be talking about does have a True Detective. Well, from what we've heard,
yeah, from
very
what they're
much True Detective like.
description.
So yeah, so that's our so yeah, definitely check out The Last of Us if you haven't yet. I know that, you know, we don't have to tell you to go watch it, but
Yeah.
if you haven't seen it yet, please do yourself a favor, go watch it. My wife was kind of iffy about it, but she's first of all,
sit down and watch it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, she's very into the game right now. Like she'll watch me play it like a movie. She does that with video games a lot. The last one she really did it with was BioShock Infinite. Like she couldn't. This is the same way. She's watching me play. She's big on TikTok and all that stuff. So she's been actually seeing all the people talking about it stuff. So she's really excited now to go watch it. So we're going to be watching the first 3 again because she wants to watch it now. So it'll be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the ratings have been amazing. Like they've actually been going up, which is really, really cool. So yeah, so let's keep the momentum, guys. Listen, the nerd army out there. Let's just go watch it. Let's make it the biggest show ever.
Don't be
we
the
already
last
got a
of us
season
to
2.
watch Last of Us.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, go check it out. HBO every Sunday night. I believe it hits HBO Max like at 6 or 7.
Yeah, we watch
Sunday.
it at 6.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Time,
Well,
Western.
speaking of HBO and HBO Max, Warner Brothers should sponsor this show because we are pushing the goods out to you guys from Warner Brothers and DC. Today was the day. DC fans have been waiting for ever since they heard James Gunn and Peter Safran were taking over DC Studios and to announce their new slate.
Dressed for this.
It's okay. You have your Venom, your Carnage sweater on. But James Gunn took to Twitter, or he made a message to the fans, and he announced at least part of the new phase, or of the first. What is it? He didn't call it phase, right? It's the first. Let's see. What did he call it? Did he call it a phase?
Yep.
I don't remember. But anyways, the first phase is going to be titled Gods and Monsters. And so he made it clear that this isn't the whole slate. This is just a part of what they're planning. So they're planning a number of TV shows. Chapter. So this is chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. They're planning a slate of TV shows and movies to kind of reboot the DCU, he's calling it, right? The DCU, that's correct. He did say specifically that, so we're getting Shazam this year, Fury of the Gods, which leads directly into The Flash, which the Flash is going to reset the DCU. That will lead into Blue Beetle, and then Blue Beetle will lead into Aquaman 2. And then after that, we get a whole slew of other projects. So first, did you guys get a chance to look at the lists or watch the video or anything?
I haven't.
Okay.
A lot of very interesting things. If you read between the lines, it's really cool.
Yeah. So let's get to the big one. I mean, he said this is the technical start of the DCU. This is where it's all going to begin. It's a film he's writing right now. He's in the process of writing, and that is Superman Legacy.
Ooh.
Obviously, Henry Cavill has been out, and he actually responded to that saying, well, he was never cast. So he was cast for the Snyder stuff, but he was never cast for the James Gunn stuff or the new DCU. So that's going to be the first kind of big project coming out of this whole thing.
So So kind of really related to that also, he recently, like a few days ago, tweeted a picture of him reading All-Star Superman.
Yes.
Which, if you guys have read All-Star Superman, would be a really interesting jumping off point, I think, because, I don't think we need an origin stuff.
No, we don't.
No, we've had plenty of those.
Yeah, we've got plenty. So if you want to, that's kind of a new, way to reinvent or at least, reintroduce Superman.
Well, just real quick, by the way, I just want to get your guys' opinion on this. Actually, I was having a conversation with a friend today, and he was bringing up what they call superhero fatigue, right? Like people just getting sick of superhero movies. They need to back up and stop doing them. My kind of rebuttal to that was it's not necessarily the quality or the quantity, it's the quality of what's been coming out, right? So it's not as much that there's too much. There's just too much kind of mediocre stuff that it really is just kind of old because they keep on doing the same things over and over and over again. I just want to get your guys' opinion on that real quick. Do you guys think that there's just too many superhero movies out, or do you guys believe that there can be a million superhero movies, but it is a question of quality of these films? What do you go ahead?
Well, I think I love the fact that there's a lot of superhero movies, but at the same time, it goes with comics. Do you really want to pick up Superman #1 and read it 10 times? No, you want to read 10 different Superman comics. Same goes with movies. You want to see a different, me personally, I'd love to see a Death of Superman movie, where it starts off where he's getting beat the shit out of by Doomsday and it goes into the Fourth Superman, because I love that storyline back in the 90s. Just something different,
Yeah.
No, I don't need to see Krypton explode for the 10th time.
Or
you guys know what I mean? Same with Spider-Man. I feel like we've gotten that same, he got bit. I've seen him get bit 3 different times in a movie. It's do something I don't know, the Spider Clone Saga. Spider-Verse is going to be excellent, I think.
We didn't see it. We saw it in the Spider-Verse, but we didn't see it in the Tom Holland ones.
Yeah, thank goodness. Yeah. I think they
that was. Well, he was kind of introduced on Avengers, which was awesome.
Yeah, with the Civil War stuff.
Yep.
What do you think, Christian? What are your thoughts on that?
So funny enough, I don't know if you guys saw that, but Kevin Feige addressed this recently. I think last week. And he said, and I kind of agree with him. He was people have been telling me for years that this bubble's going to burst. People were saying that since the mid 2000s, 2005, that the superhero bubble's about to burst, and it, 15, 17 years later, we're still here, But I agree with you. I think it's bad movies are not going to help.
Right. I think that's the problem, to be honest.
And I think people misunderstand when it's never been a versus thing for me. It's never been a Marvel versus DC.
No, not at all.
I'm a superhero fan and I want to see it all. I just happen to right now the Marvel movies better. But this is really exciting. I grew up on all of it. You know what I mean? And I think the DC success is Marvel's success and vice versa. But if anybody keeps just pumping out bad movies, it's bad for everybody. Because it will lead to here's another superhero movie. After how many times are I don't know. There's only so many Morbiuses that they can release.
Oh God!
And then that's the thing. It's you have all these stories. So like you said, like a Batman Bad Blood, for example, or all these other stories, which will kind of get to what Batman story they're going to be bringing into the DCU, which is pretty cool. What?
or DC's?
Yeah, there's this slew of rich storytelling, but they keep on telling the same ones over and over and over again. This Superman project I'm really excited for because it's like something we haven't seen yet. It's something different, and I think Jeremiah here says, "What All-Star Superman, could he be evolving Supes as we know him?" Yes, please. Let's completely wipe the board of what we know of him. Start new. Just give us this new version of this character. I'm really, really excited for it. I think it's going to be fantastic. And I haven't made my thoughts on James Gunn. Everyone knows how I feel about James Gunn. I think he's incredible. He knows what he's doing. He's a comic book fan first and foremost.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to bring, these characters that he loves to life in a very loving and fun and not all of James Gunn stuff is super, super like bright and colorful and fun and everything like that. People have this misconception that he's just out there trying to make these serious superheroes into these goofy characters and things like that.
Yeah.
He's got a real depth and a real dark side to him that he will bring to some of these characters that need it. Superman, yes, he's conflicted. He has issues, but he's not the type of character we need to
be dark,
and evil,
and brooding,
he's a beacon of hope. Like he's a symbol of hope. Like let's treat
Batman's
him like a symbol of hope. That's Batman's job, exactly. So I'm really excited for this Superman legacy. The next one up is so I'm gonna go do the movies first, then we'll talk about the TV shows. The next movie is The Authority, which is something I know absolutely nothing about. Not going to lie. Wildstorm characters will join the DCU as members of the Authority, take matters of their own hands to do what they believe is right. From what I gather, they're a group of heroes who believe the Earth is completely messed up, and they think they need to fix it. So it kind of sounds like a James Gunn project. It sounds like a Suicide Squad-esque kind of story. Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Like he brought these obscure characters that nobody knew about into the world. Now everybody knows who they are. I feel like he's trying to do the same thing with a lot of these characters. Do you guys know anything about The Authority?
Well, I'd love to see the Wildstorm characters on screen in those like 90s remember those comics. Like I'd love to see them pull that off.
That'd be cool. It would be interesting to see the Dark Metal series in live action. I agree with you, Jeremiah. I think that would be really cool. The Authority. Next one, actually, this one I'm kind of excited about because talk about new versions of these characters we have not seen on the big screen before. I'm talking about The Brave and the Bold, which is going to introduce this versions of obviously Batman and his son Damian as Robin. It says here in the quick thing, the DCU will introduce its Batman and Robin in this unusual father-son story inspired by Grant Morrison's comic series. What's up?
Is there going to be a different Batman?
Yes. So that's the whole thing, right? So we're getting the Batman 2, which is going. What is that? What is he going to call them? It's
Elseworlds.
DC Elseworlds. Anything that's strictly not in this universe will be under the DC Elseworlds label. So he brought up that the Batman 2. He brought up what else did he bring up?
Teen Titans Go,
things like
Joker,
that are part of this continuity. Continuity. Thank you, Christian. But I think this could be really cool. Like I said, we haven't seen the story before played out in live action on the big screen. It's not the typical Batman story. We don't know yet.
On that note, because you brought up how they're going to keep like a DC, they're just calling it the DCU now, and then Elseworld stuff. But he also mentioned that he's leaving the door open for like Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, for them to be able to walk back in for DCEU. So they're having 3 separate kind of continuities going. And which is kind of crazy to me that they're saying that, but then they explicitly said Henry Cavill will not be returning.
I honestly, for me personally, I don't think
letting a criminal come back.
I think that's all PR right now, to be honest.
Because I'm sure as soon as the movie releases, they're going.
It's not going to happen. I see. As soon as this year's slate is done, I don't think Shazam's coming back. I don't think Zachary Levi's coming back. I don't think Jason Momoa is coming back as Aquaman. He could come back as a different character.
Lobo.
Yeah.
He was born to play Lobo.
100%. let's move on to Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
Yes.
This science fiction adventure, which will be based on Tom King's amazing award-winning recent comic stories, presents a Supergirl viewers are not used to seeing. So from what I gather about this version of Supergirl, she's a lot more jaded than obviously the versions we've seen previously, and more jaded than Clark himself. She kind of lived on Krypton for a long time before she saw all of her family just get destroyed, obliterated, and die. So she's not a Girl Scout coming down here to help save the world. She's not saying she's a bad guy, but she has a lot more jaded view on the world, on the universe than other people do. Rights and wrongs, things like that. So I'm excited for that. I think that would be cool. Again, something we haven't seen. We've seen the CW Supergirl.
You remember that 80s Supergirl?
Yes, yeah. I do actually. Who was that actress? Gosh, she was a pretty big actress too, right? Wasn't she?
Yeah.
Or didn't she become?
I know it, but I don't know it. It's one of those mind blank things.
Helen Slater.
Yes.
Oh yes, Helen Slater. Yeah, yeah, I remember that. That was fun. Cheesy 80s fun, which we all love. Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is the one that I am. He described it as just a dark horror movie, going for what exploring Swamp Thing's origins, and even though it's a horror film, it's still going to tie into the bigger DCU. What do you guys think about that? You guys excited for that? I love this idea. I think it's going to be fantastic. What do you guys think?
Well, I've always been a Swamp Thing fan, like I just even with those cheesy, remember those action figures from the 90s, the glow in the dark one? And,
yeah.
Like I've always been a fan of the character, I thought it was cool. There was a TV series for it too, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was on that DC app that they had.
It was actually we watched a couple episodes. I
heard it was good. It got canceled after the second episode. I don't know why they would have announced that in mid-season.
Yeah.
Like, dude, at least wait for the season to be over.
Yeah, it was decent,
Yeah.
I remember the old B movies from the 80s, man. Like,
oh yeah,
I remember.
I loved those too. Yeah, like man.
Yep.
Let me see Swamp Thing. Work with Poison Ivy and Wreck the Humans.
What do you think?
I think it would be interesting to see a sort of darker, more horror part of DC that we aren't used to seeing in the movies.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah.
And listen, I know everyone's trying to recast Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, but we cannot do that because her love story with Poison Ivy needs to play out in live action on the screen. Her true love, the one that only matters. Screw the Joker. Joker's bad news. Let's get rid of that guy.
Jared
Once and
Leto,
for all.
He's toxic.
Seriously, not even Jared Leto's Joker. No Joker.
No Joker.
Toxic AF. We do not need him at all. Just real quick, Superman Legacy will release in theaters July 11, 2025. So it has a tentative release date for that. Everything else just kind of seems to be in the ether. It's going to be happening, but we don't have dates for those yet. So let's move to the DC HBO TV series. The first on this list that I got here is Creature Commandos, a 7-episode animated show in which Amanda Waller creates a black ops team out of monstrous prisoners. Gunn wrote all the episodes of the first season. Again, I love James Gunn. I love this idea. What's her name? Viola Davis is going to be coming back as Waller. We know that. She's going to be voicing the character. And she's also going to be in something else coming up here too. I just think it sounds like a lot of fun.
I think so.
So yeah, that's a really interesting thing because Viola Davis is for sure coming back. I think Weasel from Suicide Squad is going to be in it too.
Weasel.
So these are a couple of like the returning characters from like the now defunct DCEU. I know originally the Creature Commandos was like Frankenstein teaming up with like I don't remember exactly, like the werewolf and like the mummy or something like that. It was like basically Universal monsters, but this lineup's a little bit different. So cool. He also said whoever does like the voice acting for this is going to reprise the roles in the live action ultimately,
which is really cool. Like he's literally trying to create a whole cohesive thing, like much like Marvel has done, right, with their TV, like having the same actors portray those things. And I think that's fantastic. The next thing up, speaking of Viola Davis, is a live action television show focusing on her character called Waller. This series features Team Peacemaker and will be written by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who worked on Supernatural. I'm just seeing this right now, so automatically I get excited for anything involved with Supernatural. But I think this sounds cool. Apparently it's going to have her teaming up with different versions of, different characters from Team Peacemaker, and there's going to be a missions and all kinds of stuff.
Sounds interesting.
I hope he comes
sounds
back.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure he will. Arturo, what's up, man? Nice to see you,
How
dude.
you doing,
We haven't seen
Arturo?
you in a while. It's good to see you, man. Yeah, I don't know. This sounds cool. I'm down for this. So
Very
let's talk
much.
about the next one, a character I don't really know a lot about, but I'm hoping you guys do. Booster Gold.
Yes.
Booster Gold uses basic tech. I feel like my nerd card should be taken away with how quickly you guys answered that question.
I know him
Booster
somewhat
Gold
well.
uses basic technology from the future to pretend to be a superhero in the present day. The way James Gunn said it was, it's basically imposter syndrome, but in a bigger superhero way.
Yep.
Please take it away, guys. What do you guys think about this? You guys excited for it? Think it could work?
It's Booster Gold. You have to be excited about it. I mean, was the
Is he
last
just
time
like
we
a
got him
lovable
on
goofball or something?
we got him on a Smallville episode, I think, and it was it's the guy who played Brady on Days of Our Lives, because I remember I was watching that one with my mom and sister, and they're like, "That's Brady." I'm like, "Who?" And his character was Brady on Days of Our Lives, and he was Booster Gold on the Smallville.
That is funny.
Yeah, if there's ever a character that just fits into James Gunn's wheelhouse, it's Booster Gold. Booster Gold is just pure comedy. I think that's hilarious. We also saw him, I think, in one of the animated movies too. I know that everybody's sick of Chris Pratt, but this is almost like the perfect casting for him. Not that I would cast him, because I'm sure there's plenty of other people, but it would work.
Do you know Booster Gold?
I'm in a couple of episodes of Young Justice. He came in, but he was more or less getting in the way of the team.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard that he does. Yeah,
he's basically the character Dan from the Street Fighter games.
Oh,
He's basically like the DC Universe's Dan.
Okay, I got you. I'm down for it then. I'm on board. So yeah, I don't know. It could be fun. Could be a lot of fun. Also depends on casting, things like that. But as from what I hear from you guys, it sounds like it could be a fun show. I love it. So this one, Christian kind of hinted at earlier. Lanterns, which I think is a really cool, a basic concept. This enormous TV event series follows intergalactic cops Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan as they uncover dark mystery. Gunn likened this to True Detective with space cops. I'm already sold. I don't care who these characters. I don't care who's casting it. I want to see it. I need this in front of my face right now. He did say other lanterns will be sprinkled throughout. What?
Can we try and get Ryan back?
I think that would be hilarious. But no, I think this sounds. I'm there. I'm 100% there. I think this is probably the most exciting thing for me on this list. One of the most exciting things. What do you guys?
Oh yeah, the lanterns always intrigued me. The whole. I loved the whole Blackest Night storyline and the DC. Just the fact that there were so many different colored lanterns and stuff. And they're going to throw in an orange lantern there somewhere, or yellow lantern. May I dare say black lantern?
Jeremiah said Chris Pratt would be my ideal fan cast for Booster Gold. Agreed. Space Detective. So talking about fan cast, if we're gonna do Hal and John, it would be cool to have a little bit older, more grizzled Hal Jordan. And I know that he's played him before in the animated stuff, but can we get Nathan Fillion to play Hal Jordan? I think that would be really freaking cool.
Dude, let's do it.
That would be a lot of fun.
Let's do it. James Gunn's giving us money to make this. Let's do it.
Yeah. So
for real.
Cool.
No,
I'm super excited.
Yeah, and he's not new. Fillion has worked with James Gunn numerous times, so that'd be cool. The last one, kind of on this big announcement slate. This one I'm actually really excited for too. Paradise Lost, which is set in Themyscira. I think I said it right.
Themyscira, yeah, you got it.
Home of the Amazons and birthplace of Wonder Woman. This drama focuses on the genesis and political intrigue of an island of all women. James Gunn likened it to Game of Thrones. This big epic story kind of told on this island. And I'm 100% for it. I think it sounds fantastic.
If they keep it as dark as, did you ever watch that animated Wonder Woman film from DC?
Mm-hmm.
I did. Yeah.
If they keep it as dark as that or more, it will be awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
That was a pretty
100%.
dark cartoon, you know?
Yeah. We've talked about this before, but DC's animated films that they do, fantastic. For the most part, I like a lot of, like, if not all of them.
Yeah.
So. Origins of the Amazons. I think so, because I know it's supposed to be like a Wonder Woman prequel.
Yes.
From the way that they were describing that Jeremiah. So yeah, excited. This is all really, really exciting for me.
You know, I know a lot of people
Zeus.
probably, yeah. So I know a lot of people are kind of holding their excitement back, right? Because we have seen this happen before. Even when the original DCEU was announced, it was this big thing. By now, we would have had 2 Justice League movies. We would have had a Cyborg movie, solo movie. Like, all these movies are supposed to come out based in the DCEU. None of it happened. So people are kind of tempering their expectations a little bit, which is completely understandable. We have friends who, who are kind of iffy about James Gunn in general in the DC universe, which is understandable, right? Because
they'll come around.
Yeah, they'll come around. Yeah, they'll come around. And I think everyone does eventually. And I think everyone will get on the James Gunn train. Just give, he has a huge responsibility. I feel like this is a huge just essentially the whole nerd world is looking at what he's going to do. And I'm not saying this to be like, oh, feel sorry for James Gunn, blah blah blah. But
if he does it right, he can be praised as a legend or a god for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
I know. I think Marvel fans already are on board. I think it's the DC fans that need to be won over. I also think it's just a huge step for him to make like this kind of announcement, because like if we think about the way the DCEU started, right? We got Man of Steel. And then, like, the immediate follow-up was Batman v Superman. Was like, we went from the beginning immediately to the end, right? To, like, old man Batman. Like,
yeah.
Like, there was so much stuff in between. And I think seeing the progress of, like, and like you said, this is not everything, right? But this is giving everybody a good picture of, like, what we can expect, but also to know that there's a plan. I think like that's one of the most exciting things. Also, Star Wars, you could have taken notes on that on your trilogy.
100%.
But also, yeah, DCEU, like this is now we're finally hopefully gonna get like a really, really good cohesive, universe. The way that I'm sure Warner Brothers has been dying to have. So
absolutely 100%. And I think it's just gonna take time for people to get used to it, and that's fine. We've seen Marvel be so successful, and DC's been successful in their own ways, right? Like a lot of their casting choices have been spot on. Like DC, like Henry Cavill as Superman. Even I'm Ben Affleck as Batman. I think he's an amazing Batman. I really do. I think he's an incredible Batman. I think he's a great Bruce Wayne. They just didn't know what to do with the character. They just didn't do anything with him.
I think he was a good Batman for what he did and what was going on with him.
It was great. Gal Gadot, like all these things. They got a lot of things right, but obviously it just went off the rails like partway through. So we'll see what happens. We still have a few years till any of this stuff hits, so we'll see how it turns out when it turns out. So it's pretty exciting stuff. I think that's about it for today, guys. What did you guys have any final thoughts or anything on The Last of Us or this upcoming DC slate you guys wanted to talk about real quick at all?
Well, I'm excited for it all, and about to turn on The Last of Us like as soon as we're done here, probably.
Good.
If somebody else isn't watching the TV,
I feel you.
I don't know. Any other shows coming out? Like anything you guys are excited for?
Wow. Well, we got our tickets for Ant-Man Quantumania already. Speaking of comic book movies, that comes out in a couple weeks. As far as TV goes, I don't know. What do you mean?
I just know all the Star Wars stuff is coming up. Mando's coming up in like a month or so. Ahsoka's coming up sometime this year. So I'm looking forward to Ahsoka. We haven't even gotten a single trailer from that yet, and she's like my favorite character. So I'm really, really excited for that. But yeah,
and we're also getting new season of Bad Batch.
Yes, which
Yes.
we're in the middle of it right now, right? Like
Mhm.
the new, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's plenty of stuff going on. There's plenty of stuff to keep up with. Last of Us is the big thing I would recommend to
For
everybody. If
sure.
you're not already
Jeremiah
on it.
says the new season of Critical Role is pretty solid.
Oh yeah, Vox Machina. If you guys, there's 6 episodes out on Amazon Prime.
I need to
So
watch that.
excellent. They're moving really, really fast through the story, and I'm hoping they're not trying to tie it up this season because there's so much more story left. But
Mhm.
if this is it and we move to Mighty Nine after this, that'd be okay. But I would love to get at least 2 more seasons of Vox Machina. We'll see.
Hey, they're doing a season 2 of Squid Game. I had just found that out like
Yeah.
not too long ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
hmm,
they are.
This-
Christian,
this-
he's gone. He disappeared.
I'm
I
out of
see him.
here.
Oh, I hear him still. He's like a ghost.
he got drafted to the Squid Game.
Right. Right as you said that, they're gonna come get you now, man. Sorry.
You get that little card, don't answer it.
I know.
Oh, Jason. But guys, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for checking us out. Thank you for all who left comments. Remember, these shows kind of live on the internet for a long time. I know there's an audio version, I believe, that comes out in a couple of weeks of the show, but for now, you can use this live stream. You can actually share it. You can tell all your friends. You can spread the word. You can just spread it like fire. We'd be so grateful. We're grateful for your, even after the show's over, you guys see it, you guys want to leave a comment. We're always looking at the comments and everything. So please leave your, leave your thoughts on the new DC universe. Leave your thoughts on Last of Us. We'd love to hear from you guys. So guys, where can people find you guys? Christian, if you want to go ahead and start.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Christian Accorda, no space. You'll find me.
Perfect. Jason.
MySpace, Napster, out the corner of D Street over there.
No, I hear that. And you can find me, Kevin Hoskinson at our Facebook, Twitter,
Pretty
Instagram,
much everywhere.
TikTok, everywhere. Don't forget to join us here every Tuesday for a new podcast. It's either going to be Pastrami Nation podcast or the Lego Brick Therapy, which we'll be doing next Tuesday.
Yes.
It'll be a lot of fun. There's going to be some new sets I'm really excited to talk about.
There's some good ones, yeah.
And I also want to say something real quick. Since it's a Pastrami Nation podcast, this kid right here, listen, it's only a week and a half away, but he's going to be 16.
Woo!
Coming up in a few weeks.
He's a college
happy
man.
early birthday, Eli.
Happy
We're so
birthday.
excited. We didn't buy you a car. Spoiler alert. Sorry.
I don't need a
afford that.
car.
But take the bus. You're good
I
for
don't
now.
want to take the bus either.
But yeah, so
Get him a unicycle.
unicycle, right? And yeah, don't forget to check out pastramination.com for the latest reviews, articles, news, anything like that that's going on in pop culture. You can also find Pastrami Nation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok. Find us anywhere, man. Check us out. Definitely stop by, say hi. Elijah, Jeremiah says happy birthday. Arturo,
Thank
happy
you,
birthday.
guys.
Yeah. So exciting times, guys. Exciting times. So yeah, I think that's about doing it. Thank you guys for joining us again. And
Absolutely.
Jason, Christian, it's always a blast. Eli, it's always fun.
Definitely.
All right. See you guys later. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Thank you, guys.